they're going to get a lot richer on the field way earlier than anyone thought. This was the biggest takeaway. Wasn't about the rookies over the weekend, and what we're referring to is Broncos rookie minicamp happened this weekend. They allowed media to watch practice for an entire day. They allowed media in the locker room to talk to the rookies, and we also talked to Sean Payton. But before we talk about the rookies, we got to talk about what he said, Sean, about Javonte Williams, which he just gave up on. He gave out this information on our own. He wasn't asked about Javonte Williams' timeline. Alyssa, can we get that pulled up from Sean? So this was Sean talking about Javonte.
Is this the 13-minute one or the 4?
I think so, yes. Yeah, it's the 13-minute.
We've got a few here we're looking at this camp. I feel real good about our group of veterans that are here. In the building. You know, when we signed Samaje, this is a guy that gave us, you know, flexibility. We know that he can play and be an every down back. Our current starters are doing extremely well. I would tell you that we expect him to be ready for the start of training camp, and that's good news. Javonte, yeah, his rehab's going well, and I don't want to speak for him or Bo or anyone else, but we get the daily reports. So, and look, we're pretty tight-lipped relative to information going out, but I've read a lot, but I think his rehab's going well. Yeah, I think. Look, I think there's a good chance that, you know, if a player's not ready at the start of training camp, he goes to PUP. We're hopeful that he's someone that that might not have to go to PUP. So that's good news. And in the meantime, the rest of these guys we're looking at closely, and I'm getting to know them. You know.
That's just Sean right there, just putting it out multiple times that he expects him to be ready for the start of training camp, which is 2 months away.
That whole time, it really just sounded like there was something he really, really, really wanted to say. Like, say it really, really badly, but then just couldn't say it. And it's just like I can't say this. And so I just got like, I got to talk about it this way and that way. And I have no idea what that thing could be because he said, like, we think he's back. But I don't know. It was just kind of a strange thing.
I kind of think that's how he sounds every time he talks.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
he's always just hiding a secret.
He said we're pretty tight-lipped around here.
Yeah.
And we don't typically let information get out, but he's listening to us. He's reading everyone talk about how typically this injury is at least a full year, if not 14 months, if not 18 months. You see, I believe Carson Wentz had a similar injury. Obviously, we've talked about J.K. Dobbins. They both take extra long to get back on the field, specifically J.K. Dobbins. And when he did get back, he then had to miss some time after initially coming back. And Sean's clearly saying that's not the case with Javonte right now.
This is shocking. That's the number one word that comes to my mind is shocking. I saw a couple people online being like, wow, and the media told us that he would never be able to play this year. And it's like, well, we're just using historical context.
The best information we have. And now we have this, which is much better.
It's much better, but I guess my biggest question after this is shocking is how much do you believe it? Scale of 1 to 10, your confidence that Javonte Williams will be on the field for the first training camp practice.
Like a 2.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a 0 before Sean's comments. Again, we're 2 months out. I wouldn't have been shocked if we heard this in January, and we kind of did hear it at the Combine when George Payton said, yeah, we're hopeful that he's going to be ready to go week 1. And then the closer we got, the more it kind of diminished, and George Payton's comments changed about it. And now we've just gone back to 100. In fact, even further than George Payton ever went. And the fact that we're 2 months away, I'm going to say a 4. I still would just be shocked if he's on the field at the start of training camp.
Let me put it this way. I would be shocked if he was on the field at the start of training camp if he had a normal torn ACL.
Yeah.
Right.
Because what week did that happen in?
That
4.
was like first week of October.
So that's basically the early timeline for a normal ACL tear.
Yeah.
Is like, 8 to 9 months.
Yep.
Yep.
But we're talking about the whole shebang. And that's what scares me here is like, I need to hear them tell me like, we were actually wrong about how bad the injury was or something like that before I'm like, I'm not like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Because I can't get Terrell Davis's words out of my head as he sat right here in this chair and said, my number one advice for Javonte is to not rush back. That's the biggest regret of my career.
Right.
And so it's like this weird position to sit in here because I'm like, hell yeah, if Javonte's back, that almost changes my outlook on the season.
Definitely.
Like, that's how
That's
good
a playoff
he is.
team.
Without a doubt.
And the other side of me is like, whoa. Like, you kind of hit one out of the park getting Javonte Williams in the second round.
Yeah.
Don't undo that and have it be a one-year wonder because you rushed him back from injury. It's a tough place to be.
At the same time, though, like you can't give running backs second contracts. Like
Yeah.
and you've got 34 games left.
I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Payton has that kind of, bless you, savage of a look on things.
Exactly.
He's like, get him ready.
That might be Sean Payton, but George Payton gave a second contract to Dalvin Cook when he was at the Vikings. Maybe that was completely out of his hands because he was the assistant general manager, but he did that with a second round pick that had played well.
Yeah. And there's a fine line. Where do you draw the line on how good a running back is before you give them a second contract?
Right.
And Dalvin Cook's pretty damn good.
And the other big thing here is that, has there ever been an ACL where the recovery wasn't ahead of schedule? Like, they're always ahead of schedule.
Until they're not.
This is like, some would argue, like 12 months ahead of schedule.
It's really true.
Exactly. But it's ahead of schedule now, but then, he's at 95%, but then it takes 2 months to get from 95 to 100. So, I don't know. It's definitely exciting, and if Javonte's back, it changes the season, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Now,
So I was going to say, my confidence is a 1.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a 2.
And I will be willing to change my entire outlook on Javonte Williams if he's out there for the first training camp practice.
and then out there the second week of training camp as well. Meaning that it holds up.
But I've just seen it so many times where it's like, okay, he's actually really, really close, but he's just going to start training camp on the PUP. We're just going to make sure.
Yep.
And then, that just snowballs.
100%. We see it every year with someone, whether it's a starter, whether it's a backup, whether it's honestly multiple players. Now, to Sean Payton's credit in terms of backing his words up, they've backed it up with their actions, only signing Samaje Perine. And then nothing else. I for sure thought they had to add someone else, whether it was in the draft, whether it was in free agency. And they are signing someone from the tryouts over the weekend.
Jaquez
still,
Patrick.
Yes, but I mean a very low-end deal there. So they're backing it up because I do not believe, and Sean Payton talked about Samaje there, thinks he can be a first, second, third down guy, thinks he can do it all. He's 240 pounds. He's rarely played in over 50% of the snaps, let alone rarely had over 10 carries in a game. If you're basing your entire identity on Samaje Perine and trying to run the ball as much as they want to, and it's just on Samaje, that's just a massive gamble. So that just, again, makes me just a little more confident in Javonte. But when I say I'm confident, a little bit more confident he's going to be on the field week 1, I'm still uncomfortable as can be about it.
Okay, so let me throw on the tinfoil hat here. Sean Payton said, we're a tight-lipped organization or whatever, something along those lines. And then he voluntarily offered up this information.
Yeah.
Is there any reason, say, Dalvin Cook, that he would want this out there for negotiating purposes? Like you don't have us backed into
That
a
is
corner
true.
because we only have Samaje Perine and Javonte Williams is coming back. He's going to be ready for the first day, not even the first week, first day of training camp. Our running back's going to be ready. Like, we just like Dalvin Cook because of George's history with him. We're not desperate.
Yeah. I mean, if they want Dalvin Cook, that would be a smart thing to do, to bring up Javonte's actually fine on his own. The other thing that could have happened is he's really sick of hearing us say Javonte's not going to be back until the middle of the season, and he's so sick and annoyed of it that he was like, you know what, you guys didn't even ask, so I'm just going to say we're going to stop this right now. He's gonna be just fine.
I would normally say a coach wouldn't know what we're talking about, but he totally does.
Yeah,
he knows everything.
He's very, very dialed in.
Very online.
And for me, man, that would just be, it's dangerous to put a player like that and in that position if he's not ready to come back. One, of course, what that could do for the injury, but two, trying to rush him back, especially what Terrell Davis told us. I wish I wouldn't have rushed back. I wish I wouldn't have rushed back. And if they are rushing Javonte back, I just hate it so much. Honestly, I don't want to see him out there the first day of training camp because everything we know from what the medical community has told us about this injury, and Terrell Davis, guys have gone through similar injuries, not even one that as intense, say, take your time. It could make sense from some part of a Broncos sense to be like, no, we just want to rush him back and get him there. But from Javonte's standpoint, don't do that. Now, maybe Javonte is this medical anomaly, and it's just, and he really is okay. I just am skeptical that's the case.
I'd be curious what the fastest ever recovery is from what we were told was his injury, because now I'm questioning that.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, I don't think there's any reason to doubt what the injury is, because wouldn't they want to say, like, oh, after the surgery, turns out it wasn't nearly as bad? Wouldn't we have got that information months ago?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But remember, like, when the injury happened, the number that I heard thrown around the most was 18 months.
Yeah.
18 months. We are currently at, like, 6.
Yeah. Which is absolutely crazy. I mean, a year would be the middle of the season. Would be October. Henry's doing the math here.
Like 8.
Okay. 8.
But still. Yeah.
So 10 would be
training
first
camp.
day of
Yeah,
training camp.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's about half the number that we originally heard.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Which is wild, but their actions are kind of backing it up.
Exactly.
No,
and
totally.
that's where something is going to happen. Like either Javonte is going to be back or they're going to add another back, because it is crazy going through there. Because like if you don't start the season with Javonte Williams, say you carry 4 other backs, you say, okay, Samaje Perine's one of them. Tony Jones Jr. is somehow a lock. Tony Jones Jr. is basically a lock to make. He had 2 carries last year.
Yeah, he's
he
had
had
a
8
handful
carries
of
the year
carries
before
in his
that.
career.
And he's
You'd take Latavius Murray over him 1,000 times out of 1,000.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're like, well, Demaria Crockett, his best college season was with Drew Lock as his quarterback, and he hasn't done much in the NFL. And Tyler Beatty, like he had that nice
kind of
run at
excites
the
me.
end. Yeah, no, I know he excites me. The undrafted rookies, Jaleel McLaughlin, he's sick. Like, I don't know. I've got some hot takes about him. Even Emmanuel Wilson, the other one, is just like a 220-pound, 4.5 runner. He's also 6 small school. So like, but you're looking at 2 of either the undrafted guys, Jaquez Patrick, who they just signed, Demaria Crockett, or Tyler Beatty, which is kind of a crazy group. And that's assuming Tony Jones Jr. with
When
10
you say
carries the last
crazy,
2
you
years
mean
is locked.
bad.